ink has not spread. So basically what the yellow is a backboard. The ink which was written, it is an iron gall ink. So the iron gall ink has lead, and over time it corrodes the paper. So you can see that wherever the ink is there, the letters have sort of vaporized, or the acid has eaten the letters. So the paper is safe, but wherever the ink has touched the paper, so this is what we call as inherent bias. That sometimes we use materials that we don't know what it is going to happen after. It stays quite so good for 40 years, but after 60 or 70, it starts corroding on its own. So this is something we also need to care about, that when you are using new age materials. So we don't know the use of acrylics. We have switched from oil paints to acrylic paints, but the only effect of acrylic paints we'll be able to know after 40 or 50 years, that how it reacts. So this is one such thing that we should care about. This is one of the very least talked about factors of deterioration, the dissociation. So, and it's primarily because of handlers or maybe people who are guarding the collection. That suppose for a library book, if the label or the catalog card is dissociated from the main book, and you have no markings on the book whatsoever, so that essentially potentially becomes a hazard, because there is no way to identify if the book belongs to the library or to the collection or not, in case they have not put up any secondary number as well. So especially for smaller objects like metal sculptures and coins, this becomes a major problem, because you're not able to put accession number or coin because it has two faces. But if not in that manner, how do you keep the labels intact? So certainly because of dissociation, many of the artifacts, they lost their value as such. So we have discussed briefly about the type of aggressors and the deteriorations. My question to all of us is,
Pop quiz?
it's not a quiz actually, but it's just to ask if this is the real problem, and what did you say of this picture?
Storage issue.
But storage, yeah, it's perfectly not organized, and storage. So you can see these are part of the archival records, land records, and it's part. We have worked, and I don't have an image now, but I'm glad to say that we have reorganized the space, and it's in a better condition from this. Also, you have conditions like this. So you have compactors, but the things are placed outside. You have compacting storage shelves for the books, but this, and it's not just one place. It's happened. It's quite. So in the EECROM chart, there is a special categories that we're focused on, and it's this part with the professionals, and inside the professionals is if we don't have the respect or the awareness or the motivation. Motivation for me is the biggest challenge, because you cannot ask someone to be motivated to say something. It should come from their own. So this becomes a major crux if you're not interested in what you're doing and you're just doing it. So you won't be never attached to the collection as such. We focus to the digital preservations. We all know how the internet is moving from Web 2 to Web 3. You have new areas of data storage, you have new functions, and I will not focus on the benefits because we all know the benefits. I will focus on the challenges. So from the last 50 years, we have transitioned from VCR cassettes to magnetic tapes to LTO tapes, and now we have what we call as SSDs, that basically maybe this is something what I carry around with 256 GB of storage. Floppy disks earlier used to carry around 35 MB of storage. It's twice the size of this. So in the last 20-30 years, how much we have changed from one format to another. And now the problem is, even this laptop doesn't have a CD drive. Yeah, they don't have. So all the archival materials that were done in the last 18 years are in the form of DVD and CD. So these are lying in the cassettes, but you don't have amenities to play back them and even convert. Data migration is another issue I won't be using in library materials, but also there is a topic of repairability. You don't have technicians and servicemen who focus on the old tech nowadays. You have to go to selected areas where you'll find people, and those are the large generations of people who know how to repair a VCR player. So that becomes immediate necessity for when you deal with digital preservation as such. Storage solutions, I won't talk about it because it costs a lot. And if you have offline servers and if you don't have a backup, then there is a risk that your data might be completely wiped off in case you are just putting it in a physical data. Also, you have cyber attacks, ransomwares, and it's just museums, but it happens with library data, hospitals, healthcare centers. So there's always a risk associated. You have to deal with your collection, but also have to deal with all of these risks as such. This is a question. Why does it matter? So, I mean, we can do so much about it, but why do we need to think about it? So this is something, I mean, people who have been to this place would might understand the recognition of it, that the Bamiyan Buddhas. So now that it's gone, that people who don't know the relevance of it will surely not maybe think too much about it. But this cannot be replaced. You have the image, you have what it looked like before, but there is no way, no technology to replicate. And even if you replicate it, it would be another new edition. The same material, the same essence won't be there.
What happened to this? It's gone.
Yeah, it is because of fanaticism and we call it.
Okay.
Oh, yes. So this is something that we can never do anything about it. This is in National Museum of Natural History in Delhi, and because of a fire, most of the historical specimens of birds and animals were being cut down in fire. The problem being they did not have effective disaster management solution to their object. Coming back to library materials, these are just some of the images of what we managed to do. So this is like rebinding of the book, some before and after of the images, and this is just an example of how tedious the process is inside. So this is just one folio, and we are removing the previous intervention because the previous intervention was not up to the mark and it could further lead to damages. So, and this is just one page. So you can imagine what happens to a manuscript of 120 or 150 folios, and like that you have thousands of manuscripts just in IDNCA, into the number of sites you have in India, into the number of sites you have in the world. So, and also you need a lot of patience. So, I am not trained, I am trained as a conservator, but I am more trained as a preventive conservator.